Good morning, dear colleagues. My name is Andrei Dado. I'm working in the European TB program, and I had the privilege to present to you the European TB Research Initiative, which we consider a boosting mechanism for innovations in the WHO European region.
Yes, indeed, the research is critical to break the trajectory of tuberculosis epidemic with a better diagnosis, including new point of care, safer, easier and shorter treatment regimens, more effective treatment for latent TB infection, as well as the effective pre- and post-exposure vaccines.
Well, the global TB community got together and with the Secretariat of the Global TB Program at WHO developed the Global Strategy for TB Research and Innovation, which the main goal is to provide to all the member states a framework of interventions to remove the barriers in TB research and innovation processes.
Therefore, in the framework of the Regional TB Action Plan 1620, the previous reiteration of the current one, the Secretariat of the WHO Europe took a leadership on developing a research initiative and setting it up with the three following objectives: is to develop the research agenda itself and define which of the priorities that are relevant for the region and the member states, improve the research capacity among the member states on implementing the research, and advocate for mobilization of addressing the research gaps. The launch of the initiative took place back in 2019, here is the architecture of the initiative itself. It composed from a network of over 250 members across the entire region, with quite a wide variety of the expertise and applicability in the fields on the front lines. We, as the Secretariat serving the network and the initiative as at the WHO, been advised by a core group, which are a group of the area experts, and then also benefiting from the alumni that has been created from the SORT-TB courses, which is an element of capacity building of the research implementation at the member states level. At the regional level, we consulted both the group of experts in the ERI core group as well as the member states to define among those research spread across the knowledge hub presented earlier, which of the research questions remains and are priorities for the European region. The 76 priority research questions that are lined out, listed in the priority research agenda, are grouped in the three themes and are across the 17 technical areas of interventions. As you can see, the priority that are seen by the member states are mainly in the theme 3, which is the operational research, while both other elements, the epidemiological research as well as the fundamental ones, have their own place in it as well. The list of those research priority questions served to the member states to define which of the research they could focus on by looking at the question itself and based on it develop a research proposal. With our support, the research proposal has been translated into a research protocol and implemented. Here on this slide, you see a few examples on the operational research team. For instance, in the infection control, the question sounds as the following: for how long do patients with drug-sensitive and drug-resistant tuberculosis remain infectious after start of the treatment itself? While the policy means the research agenda was defined, the second objective of the initiative was to build up the capacity of the member states on implementing the research, and therefore there is a few slides following to share with you how we at the ERITB support the counterparts in developing their research capacities. We did not develop the wheel. We took the short courses developed by the Union and MSF and adapted it to the needs defined by a research agenda. So the SORT TB was launched back in 1819, and here you see a detailed curriculum for a structured operational research training in the WHO European region. The call for applications on enrolling the young researchers covered the East Europe and Central Asia countries. The first course launched back in 18, and since then we had 5 regional courses, of which 2 were in the countries Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan. The research projects were based on the routine programmatic data and has a strong ethical consideration, approved both by the ERCRWO and the country IRBs. Another example of how we at the regional level are supporting the research capacity building was a collaboration with the TDR and the Global TB program on the tool that is called IR4DTV, which is an implementation research tool for the digital technologies in tuberculosis. As mentioned, the toolkit was developed by TDR and GTB, and it addresses the demand from the countries to support implementation of the new technology in tuberculosis. It came right in time in the middle of COVID crisis, therefore the teleworking took place and the whole workshops was provided on the hybrid model. The course itself, using that tool, aims to provide a guidance to the countries on how to develop an implementation research studies using the digital innovations in TB programs, as well as supporting to strengthen the evidence base regarding the optimal implementation of digital innovations for tuberculosis. We've piloted the tool and then implemented in the European region in a hybrid format. We've got participants from the 6 countries from the region, and it took us through almost a year from June 22 to 23. It was focused on the 2 digital technologies, which is CAD and the VCT. So those were the activities in regards to the capacity building of the young researchers in the countries. But in addition to that, we took the borders even further and extended the horizons with our operations by launching few flagship studies. The first one, and one of the most important one that we consider, was the implementation of the modified all-oral short treatment regimens for drug-resistant tuberculosis patients under the operational research conditions, all MSTR. Launched in Kiev in December 19, with the presentation of the generic protocol, got engaged over 14 countries, and they joined the initiative and managed to implement those regimens in the generic protocol across the sites of the interventions. In order to support the principal investigators at the country levels, we've launched a virtual medical consilium which helped with the patient enrollment into the study itself. The consilium itself provided scientific sound and evidence-based clinical advice to the managers of the specific patients and individual practitioners. Later on, the consilium extended its terms and continue to provide technical advice to the doctors across the region beyond the study, the MSTR study. Within the framework of the Consilium, we carried over 50 monthly webinars on different sub-subjects of the clinical management of TB patients. These courses are available on the web, and those could be viewed. We established a group of the eminent experts who helped us to develop a generic protocol for an operational study to derive real-world evidence on providing preventive treatment for contacts exposed to the drug-resistant tuberculosis. The protocol itself has been endorsed and cleared by the Ethical Review Committee at the WHO 2 weeks ago, and we'll be happy to call the countries to adhere to the multi-country study related to the implementation of drug resistance preventive treatment among the contacts. The justification to take the border even more larger and expand the horizons in order to ensure the universal coverage, considering wide prevalence of the pre- and XDR-TB in the region, is and has been highlighted in the Model 1 of the WHO guideline. Therefore, as an inclusion criteria listed here was considered in the protocol itself. Those were the intensity of the contact, the profile of the index case, as well as the confirmation of TB infection itself. There are 4 regimens which are recommended in the protocol to be applied on. It's already endorsed levofloxacin for 6 months or moxifloxacin, and 2 additional regimens with the 3 months betagoline and the 6 months dilamanid. The protocol defines a clinical observation for 2 years of the signs of the symptoms for tuberculosis and has 2 main objectives. Is to understand and define the real efficiency and the safety, as well as to assess the cascade of care. I would like to thank the colleagues which were part of the task force, specifically the colleagues from the UCL and Brest University and others. As of now, we've managed to perform a country readiness assessments for several countries which wished to be enrolled into the multi-country study from the beginning. However, the enrollment and engagement of the countries are not limited to those listed here, and any other are very welcomed to approach. Here is a timeline that we are looking to implement together with the member states, which will be the main principal investigators in this study. Well, unfortunately, I had no more time to present you more outputs out of the ERI initiative that we managed to launch back in 2019. But I would like to thank all of the colleagues which contributed to the operations of the research initiative itself, and invite you others to join us, the workspace, that either by sending the email or through the Teams. You can find there much more than in this presentation. And as a final quote, we like to say that the diversity of all of you will enrich us all. Means that we encourage new researchers to join the initiative, and therefore this workshop is an eminent example of that. Thank you very much for the co-organizers. Have a good day.